looks like we got another dart here. She's got a stumble around 25 or 30, and steering is loose as hell, so we'll have to pick this up a little bit later. On the way home with the new 70 Dart. Yeah. Made it 79 miles from Albany back up to Portland. Now we're headed up to, I believe it is Idaho, lots of birds in the water over there. Alright, so really didn't film much of the trip because, well, other than the car running a little rough and probably being attributed to the carburetor issue, it was absolutely smooth. She made it all 2,200 miles and then some driving around, and did wonderfully overall. But now that I'm home and it's daylight, we can talk a little bit about what's going on with this car. There are a few more issues than what was mentioned in the first part of the video, and I think I'm going to start making a series to go over all that kind of stuff. And I'll take you guys along with me to repair everything. So, driving along from Portland and up into about Hood River, there was really no issue with the car as far as comfort on the inside. But things kind of changed after the first day of traveling. You see the heater box there has a fresh air door, and the driver's side also has a fresh air door. Now you see that foam seal right there. That's one I just put in. Both sides were missing, so going down the highway you got a cold draft kind of whipping around down by your legs and making you freeze. Then, top it all off, the radiator is junk. It's not an original Chrysler radiator, and the thermostat must be sticking open because the temperature gauge was pegged on the cold the whole trip. And the air coming out of the heater was lukewarm at best, and same as the outside temperature at worst. So, I'm going to replace the thermostat and the radiator probably today, and I'm going to go get a flow cooler water pump, which is $99. Yeah, $99, but it's supposed to be really, really good compared to the parts store water pumps, which are around $15 to $20 depending on who you buy it from. And the last car that I had went through 3 of them. So I'd really rather do a one and done with the radiator. And that should take care, with the water pump. And I'm going to reuse the coolant in the radiator is what I should say, because I'm going to have to pull that radiator back out to do the water pump when I can afford that. The car drives really great down the highway. Absolutely no issues, except again for the carburetor, which I have a rebuild kit coming for, and I'm going to take care of that as soon as it shows up. What else? What else can I tell you? The majority of the issue really is with the cooling system up front, or how good it is. In fact, it's too good. It's too good at cooling for some reason, but that's going to be fixed. Then one more issue is these gauges work. They work. All of them do, but the needles are faded, and the needles are attached to the gauges. I really don't feel like painting them right now because I don't want to match the orange or anything like that. So I'm actually going to go get the gauge cluster that I have set up for another car and swap out the gauges here. But I have a feeling that the pins on the back of the cluster here on the circuit boards have broken loose, because the whole time that fuel gauge was pretty much pegged on the empty. And there was a few times when it showed like 3/4 of a tank and half a tank or something like that. What it would do is you'd have the car running, and the longer it stayed running, let's say it's at 3/4 of a tank, maybe within about 15-20 seconds you'd watch that needle slowly drop, and it would stay there. You'd drive down the road a little bit, it'd bounce back maybe to half point, and then it'd eventually drop back down to empty. You shut the car off, go get a bite to eat, go take care of something, come back, restart it, it would show like 3/4 of a tank. And then it would do the same thing again, and eventually it just pegged on the empty. I don't know if something fried or something else had an issue with the fuel gauge there, but everything works except, like I say, it's intermittent, and the backlights don't work either. So they worked, actually. They worked for about 15-20 minutes the first time I tried the headlights. Then after that, it's been driving 3 nights in a row without any backlights. I was able to get a speedometer app on my phone and just wedge the phone between the windshield and the dash pad. So I was able to drive like that, but this is not gonna do. I need to take this gauge cluster out of here and see what's going on. Circuit boards are like $150 a pair because there's a left one and a right one, and I'm really not willing to buy it because it's probably Chinese junk. I'd rather just resolder what I have. So that'll take care of that. The wiper blades were original, go figure, just like everything else in this car. And unfortunately, they do not park when you have the wipers on. That's on, so you see, turn the switch off, they just stop wherever. So you got to kind of time it. I think that I need to replace the wiper motor, but luckily I have one already rebuilt and restored. So that's going to take care of that issue. And the blades themselves, like I say, were original. So first time, second time went to go use them, they're fine. Third time, the driver's side had the end there fall off, and it did scratch up the windshield. Fourth time, fifth time, something like that, the passenger side did the same thing, and it also scratched the windshield. But this windshield, it's really tough to tell because it's foggy in here, is starting to delaminate between the 2 sheets of glass on both ends there. So I'm not really too concerned. Oh, and plus there's a pretty big chip right there. Kind of blurry, but you can see it right there. So I'm not too worried about this windshield. It'll eventually get replaced. And so it's no big deal as far as the scratches or any kind of wear it's showing. The steering wheel, however, is very much worse for wear. This center button, yeah, I don't know if that's heat or age or a combination of both, but that needs to be replaced. Steering wheel has quite a few cracks in it, and yeah, there you go. It's actually been cracked for quite a long time because the edges of all these cracks are rounded off. So I think I'm just going to get a new steering wheel because I talked to somebody who restores these, and he says that for what it costs to get one fixed, I could buy a new one. And actually, 69 and older Chrysler products had a smooth steering wheel. A little tough to tell because it's worn so much, but 1970 and up actually is textured. So I'm going to have to look for a textured wheel. And of course the partial horn ring works. It's got a bit of rust down towards the bottom, little speckles. I'm going to see if I can polish it up with some steel wool and get the majority of that taken off of there. Rear view mirror, kind of tough to see. There you go. It's got surface rust all over the arm. I have another mirror with an arm that is good, so I'm just going to swap that out and not even bother with repainting this or anything. Typical sun visor tips. Yeah, sun visor tips are busted. Just get new ones of those. Originals would be just as bad, and I don't think there's very many NOS ones left over. And the big story is overhead. Yeah, that's the insulation. It's supposed to be on the roof, and the only thing holding it up is this bow for the headliner. I think in the meantime I'm going to be creative with duct tape and just go ahead and roll this headliner back so it keeps this insulation off my head and whoever's sitting next to me in the passenger seat. And good news is this is a premium headliner, denoted by all the perforations, which are the same as the 68 to 70 Dodge Charger. So the material is readily available. I just need it to be cut out in the shape of a Dart sedan here. So that pretty much is the tour of the flaws in here. There's many little things that I would consider flaws that don't really bother me and don't really contribute to comfort, safety, or drivability or any other major category that I'm probably going to leave alone, because honestly, this car is a true survivor even with 108,413 miles. This was a garage kept California car, like we said in the beginning of the video with the brief history, that it was ordered new Butler Conti Dodge, Lafayette, California, which is a suburb of San Francisco. And if you didn't hear me over the wind noise, that was the original owners who ordered it, and they got put into a home a few years ago in Eugene, Oregon, where the guy that I bought this thing from had actually picked it up from. So I'm not going to do a restoration on this car, but I am going to try to make things more correct, more original, and just to overall keep it going and at least make it in somewhat better shape than it is now, although it is in actually really great shape. So with that being said, I think that's going to it's going to conclude the flaws and list of repairs, and that's going to conclude this video for the time being. I think I may come back to it and I may add to this, but we'll see.